This is Frank Islam, Chairman and CEO of FY Investment Group, and your host of Washington Calling, where we interview leading voices from business and politics that impact you, the viewer. Today, our guest is Ms. Anasuya Gupta. She's the chairperson and managing director of CICO Group, a large and legacy construction industry firm. Thank you for coming to our show and welcome to our show. Um, thank you very much for coming to our show. Thank you for all you do to make a difference.
Thank you very much, Frank. I just wanted to make a little change. It's CICO and not Cisco. It's CICO Group. Yeah. And
Okay,
it's an
very well
honor and a
said.
privilege. Yeah. And it's an honor and a privilege to be with you on this show. Thank you very much.
You're wonderful, and thank you for your correction. Obviously, I was mistaken. So tell us a little bit about you. You have a remarkable success story. We understand you're heading a construction company, which is a business dominated by men. Please tell us briefly your success story for our global audience. And tell us a little
Yeah,
bit about
thanks.
your company as well. Go ahead.
Right. So CICO is really the oldest brand in India. We're celebrating 90 years this year. The brand was started way back in 1930 in Calcutta by my husband's grandfather. And
Okay.
really, yeah, and we had a monopoly in construction chemicals, especially waterproofing compounds, till about the late 1980s. That's when I think India opened out and a lot of multinationals started coming in. But however, we still remain one of the top five in the country. Um, as far as, and in any case, like all traditional business houses, this was also a very male dominated business, in the sense that the ladies of the house did not ever inherit the business. The business always went down the male line. But unfortunately, my husband tragically passed away 12 years ago. And I always call myself an accidental entrepreneur. So I stepped into his shoes. I've been a homemaker. Yeah. I've been a
you are a homemaker. You're a homemaker,
completely,
right?
and a
Okay,
very happy
wonderful.
home.
Well, thank you. Thank you very, very much. You step into the. We need people like you in India, not only India, but around the world, to look at you. Female entrepreneurship is very key to success of not only
Correct.
India, but all the world. So tell us a little bit about your accomplishment. What have been your guiding principles, and what is your definition of success?
Oh, that's a very difficult one. But well, all I can say is that I, being a homemaker, I think I did carry the home values into the workplace. I think that made a little bit of a difference, because when a woman brings their home values into the place of work, um, it's just expanding the same home base, and also considering that your family is also the team, and the organization, the people who work for you are also part of your family. Now that, I think, helped me, to be honest, to take this company to the next height. Also, I think I grew up with knowing my self-worth and knowing my rights, and so I do work within that framework. And even if it's a male dominated industry, and you know uh, I think do score on those parts, because I think we ensure that we are working within that. And so I think those were my advantages. But having said that, the industry, when you say success, I think there was a little bit of experience gap, and there still is, because in India we lack the infrastructure for women to get into their place of work. And by infrastructure, I mean, I can talk from my own experience. I can never go to a site, and not because it's difficult to check out a tunneling work on the roads, or to get right on top of a bridge to see, what the work in progress is. but also because there are no washroom facilities, there are no facilities for me to stay at night, and therefore I am not able to then check out on what exactly is the quality of work that's happening, and what really goes on in the site. So to me, I think that's a bit of a challenge, and it's not going to encourage more women to come in if these facilities and the infrastructure is not there in the country.
Right. Very well said. Do you think the entrepreneurs are made or born?
I was not
And
born for sure.
also, okay, what are the characteristics of the entrepreneur? Do you think the success have taught you to move forward and the failure have taught you to never go backward? I'm an
Um,
entrepreneur myself, as you probably know.
I know, and a very successful one at that. I think entrepreneurship just teaches you how to take on more responsibilities, and I think that responsibility is a lot of social responsibility. It's not just looking at profit margins and the balance sheets. To be honest, I mean, I take my role very seriously as someone who's contributing to society in terms of
Very
not
well said.
just employment or stuff like that, but say for instance our products go into buildings, go into roads, go into power stations. If I am not going to be doing justice to that, and ensuring service is good, quality of products is good, then it's impacting society. So basically I think that an entrepreneur needs to have that social you know thought in mind.
Very well said. And I will talk to you about your philanthropic engagement as well in a minute. I am a philanthropist, and
Mhm.
I believe what President Kennedy has said, to whom much is given, much is expected. And the
Yeah.
characteristic of an entrepreneur that I see it is to venture into the new horizon and experiment new environment, willing to take a risk and see what the people see as a challenge, you see as an opportunity, which is what you have done. And thank you very much for all you have done. And you are a role model for all of us, not only in India
Thank
but all around the globe. As you know,
thank you for this.
yeah, sure, you're most welcome. Construction industry should be booming in India. It should be growth
Yeah.
industry, should providing jobs in India. But we understand that your construction company are not doing very well because of the huge layoff, as the economy of India is in tank right now. We'll talk about that. What is the problem? What needs to be done? And also tell us a little bit about the regulating the real estate industry. Is it helping you or hurting you?
Okay,
Go
so
ahead.
there's approximately a 12% drop in order wins by infra companies, and the rating agencies have consistently been downgrading our forecast for growth. And my sense is that until and unless there is a fund flow from the government into this particular industry, the gloom will continue, because this is the foundation industry. It's the base. It is a huge job creator. So if there is a fund flow that is coming into this industry, my sense is that the others will, to kickstart the other industries as well. When you've talked about regulations, I think the regulators were necessary. It really was necessary, because there was a lot of consumer stress, because it was market driven and that sort of thing. But I think what happened was it came very fast and quick. In India, we are a large economy. So before it was standardized, tested, course corrections made, we were heaped on with the next one and the next one and the next one. So I think what happened was consumer paranoia set in. That consumer paranoia, I think, resulted also in I would say distressed sales, low quality products being sold in a hurry to sort of finish projects. And so, in general, until and unless there is a policy consistency and infusion of incentives, I think it's a long road to recovery.
It's a long road to recovery. Did you tell that to the current government, which is basically should have a unifying nationalism rather than religious nationalism? The light of Indian democracy is flickering while the
Yeah.
fire of discord is burning. Did
Well, I
you?
wish
And you
actually the
have a
government
voice.
would.
Go ahead.
Frank, actually, I wish the government would talk to the SMEs, to be honest, because I think we are really, the belly of the economy. Um, I think they must necessarily pause and talk to the small medium enterprises to see what is the need of the hour and what are the things that we really need. And I think it's important that this trust deficiency, the gap is closed very, very quickly, and there is a sizable scale up in infrastructure spends right now. I also think that
Close
projects
to
need to be.
trillion dollar, close
Yeah,
to trillion
exactly.
dollar India needs for infrastructure.
Yeah, and the
So
thing is,
do you speak up? Do you speak up and speak out and tell the government that we need to work together so that we can build a stronger and better India and provide a job to the young generations?
I would love to. I would love to. It's just that you need a platform, right? And that
Right.
platform has to be created to be able to speak up. Just an individual voice. I don't think. I mean, who do I talk to? To be honest, to the
Oh,
government. I mean, who is the government do we talk to? Yeah. So I
so
think
I want
I
to,
think there are. Yeah.
yeah, go ahead. So that you need a platform to speak up, to speak
Yeah.
out, to make, and you're doing it because so you can build a stronger and fairer and just and as well as a better India, so that people can have a job and prosperity. This is
Absolutely.
what all. Okay, so
And there's a
as you know,
huge
the Indian
talent
economy.
pool.
Go ahead. Go ahead,
Yeah, so there's a huge
Ms. Gupta.
talent pool and opportunity. All we need to do is, just tap into that.
Right. As you know, the Indian economy is not doing well, and you said that, and the outlook is likely to continue. There has not been that much infusion of direct foreign investment. India is facing the largest unemployment rate. It has a lowest GDP growth in 11 years. Can you tell us and shed some bright lights what can be done to boost economic growth and create more jobs and build prosperity and also build the infrastructure and attract foreign investment?
I'm a great believer, and I know about my industry. The projects need to be now awarded. Whether there are road projects, power plants, etc. The government needs to now kick started by awarding those projects and not have them stalled. Fund flow has to come in, and contractors need to be paid. They in turn need to pay labor, because the cash disbursements over there has to be quick. Now, while we are also talking about cash awarding those projects, I think simultaneously the compliances, like for instance environment clearances, land acquisition bills, etc., those have to be attacked simultaneously to ensure that those projects are taking off on time. And therefore this is the way that employment, it'll kickstart the supply chain, the production will start, manufacturing units will start, and the entire cycle will take off. The other thing that I have really in my mind, and it's a very personal belief, is that we have to increase the tax base in our country. At this moment in 1718, if I'm not mistaken, I was reading somewhere that 55 million people um, filed their income tax returns, of which 22 million did not have any tax liability. Now,
Can you believe that?
if we Yeah. So if we don't increase our tax base, where is the money going to come in from? We cannot keep taxing the 1%, all the time. We have to sort of broad base it a little more. And that's really my personal take, that the government needs to do this right now, simultaneously with awarding of these road projects and power plants, etc., which are all stalled, and which will then, start off on other cities. Once cities come up to tier 2, tier 3 cities, you're going to need hotels, you're going to need hospitals, you're going to need schools. So it's this is the industry that needs attention completely.
I totally agree. You should move to Dubai. Look at what Dubai is doing. It's unbelievable,
Yeah,
in terms
yeah,
of the
that's right.
construction. And it's being shouldered
Yeah,
by the Indian diaspora, pretty much.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, I,
Well, I believe
so
in staying
you know,
here and doing something.
Well, I go there every 6 months because I'm on the board of trustees of the American University in Dubai, and it's unbelievable what they have been able to accomplish. I do not
Fantastic.
believe in their, so it's unbelievable. I wanted to, you look at the brighter horizon even when we endure storm. And that's a characteristic of your personality, who you are, which is a wonderful thing to do. I would hope that the other people will follow in your direct in your footsteps so they can make a difference. You have been honored as a woman entrepreneur by Dell. You embody the hope for budding female, and for that matter, for all entrepreneurs. What are your thoughts on the future of women entrepreneurship in India? What advice would you give it to the young and budding entrepreneurs?
I think the first thing is that as somebody in, I would like to say, in a position of privilege at this moment, uh, it's important for all of us women who enjoy this to sort of reach out and give a leg up to the other women who are actually trying to do that. This is something that I find a little lacking here. We need to help one another. That's one. Secondly, the ecosystem here in India has to change in terms of, you know, I see that there is a lot to be done in the rural segment where the talent pool is huge. However, our norms are very archaic, societal pressures are huge. So we need to take education and we need to take inclusion, all that to people. But I have to say the good thing really is that social media is helping a lot because they are able to actually access what is going on in the world and what is available, understand women's rights, etc. Bollywood, I have to say, mirrors a lot of opportunities, and in our villages and in our urban as well as the rural sector. This is a big mover and shaker. So there, it does mirror a lot of it. So it's helping us. I have to say things like it started moving in terms of property rights that are now coming into into the legal framework of women, because until and unless you have property which then can act as a collateral to starting any entrepreneurship or any business, that's important. Education needs to be taken to
Very
these
well.
people, because yeah, and financial decision making has to be far more inclusive. It cannot only be in a male dominated world. If you see ads in the newspapers or ads in televisions, which I see, it's very often that the woman can choose the washing machine, but it's always the man who chooses which brand, depending on how expensive or how cheap it is. So I think
So
financial decision making is
you're
important.
absolutely right. I am all for the woman entrepreneurship. I believe that they have the enormous potential that the India and the world can harness, and this has been untapped potential. So, so that women can get out of their house and become a role model for others. And what India needs to do is also to help them with the finance, so that and also become a role model. And there's a many things that people like you can help this female entrepreneurship, because they have the untapped potential, and that potential is enormous. Wouldn't you agree with
Yeah.
that?
Yeah,
Uh,
completely. Because I think a woman, whatever she earns, she brings back and rolls back into the business. Statistics says that. So it's an ongoing process, which then gives a far better returns.
they need to be full partner in making a
Yeah,
difference,
yeah, and
and
I
that
think
has
there are
not been the.
certain. Yeah,
Go
that's
ahead.
right. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. So
I
so
have written many.
like,
I've written
yeah,
many columns on female entrepreneurship, that how they can become a change agent. Before I close the conversation, I know you're a horse lover. You have obviously your privilege to have a horses, and I live very close to Washington D.C., where it's in Middleburg, Virginia, which is the horse country. A lot of our friends have that horses. So I want you to talk a little bit about, but the most important thing I want to talk about philanthropy. What kind of things are you doing to make a difference? And what are your areas of focus in philanthropy is? Philanthropy is not just a giving. and building a mosque, building a church, building a temple is to making a difference in people's lives. So tell us a little bit about both before we close the conversation, Ms. Gupta.
Yeah. So which one do you want me to talk first about? Should I talk about the
Whatever
philanthropy
you,
bit?
it's up to you.
Yeah.
It's up to you. You go
Okay. This
first.
is one of my well, this is my passion, really. As I said, I'm an accidental entrepreneur, but this is my passion. Uh, I grew up in a convent where we always did work for, the less privileged, so to speak. But what also life taught me is that when my husband was unwell, we I moved from hospital to hospital, and I actually saw the despair that was there amongst the millions of people who used to come for treatment there. I thought I was privileged because I had the resources, and I don't mean monetary resources. I mean my education, my access to doctors, etc. So in 2009, after my husband's passing away, I started a foundation in his memory, where the work we do is to raise awareness for organ donation in India. We have a crying need. I mean, the last that I know is that we were like 0.03 per million for organ donation, and the need was 1.8 per million or something like that. I could be a little
Right.
wrong in my statistics, but somewhat like that. So my aim really, and the foundation's aim, is to go to different corporates, to police stations, which handle a lot of accident cases, to NGOs, to schools, and talk about the importance of pledging organs so that when we are no more, there are other lives that we are saving. So that's
Very
one of
well
the
said. Very well said.
that we do, because in India we need that hugely.
So you're
Other than
extending
the
your
fact,
hope, you're extending your hope, your heart, and your help to those who needs the
yeah,
most, and that's the noble
yes,
cause
yeah,
that we can. Those are things that we will leave behind because we have a short time on this planet of Earth.
yes,
So
that's right.
go ahead and
Yeah.
tell us about your horses thing. You're a horse lover. How many horses you have, and
Well, at the
what is the
moment we have
farm?
no.
Go
I
ahead.
think horse racing has been in the family for many generations. And so I wanted to say something very interesting, because in
Sure.
1962, Queen Elizabeth visited Calcutta to present the Queen's Cup. And in that
Oh
race, yeah, and in that race, two of our horses were running, which was
my
owned by
goodness.
my father-in-law. And 50 years later, we run in the same colors that we did run those races. So that's a matter of pride and joy for us, that the
It
colors
is.
of the
It is.
Gupta family are the same, that they run in. It's we are animal lovers. I love my dogs. And horse racing is, as I said, a passion with us, and we love the sport. And the fourth generation has also joined in and enjoys the sport. So
Wow.
fingers crossed
Wow.
we carry this forward. Yeah.
So where is your farm? The farm is located close to Delhi or somewhere in Kolkata?
No, we don't have a farm. Our horses train with our trainers mainly in Calcutta.
Okay, so they have a stable there,
Yeah, that's right.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there anything else you want to say to the audience before we close our conversation?
No, just that I'm very, very privileged to be here,
Oh,
and I feel, and I think I'm very grateful, really, to the
sure.
universe for giving me opportunities that I have, and I hope that I can leave behind and share some of my experiences with people, which will help others. That's my only hope and
Good.
wish for me.
Very well said. Is the Your family has provided you the letters of opportunity to succeed, and you want other people to succeed. That's what you want to do. So thank you
That's
very
right.
much, Ms. Gupta, for all you do, and thank you very much for your leadership. And this is Frank Islam wishing you a great week, and thank you for watching.